What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Varsity Live, Postgame edition. I am your host, Jay Skrinky. We got some things to talk about tonight. We're going to go out to Las Vegas. We're going to take a look at Mountain View Horizon. We got some interviews coming from them, also a live postgame summary from that game. And we're also going to look at Brophy and Regis Jesuit, have a live summary of that, and possibly look at some JUCO coming up tomorrow. We just had some NFL finish up, some college games finish up, a couple interesting games there. It's going to be good. We'll get right into it. First, let's roll a quick commercial, and we'll get into it.
Arizona State University football team cruised to a 48-7 victory over Wyoming in its opening game that Saturday. One interesting thing is Gilbert Perry High School basketball star Koa Pete was there at the game. The 70-year-old was seen during pregame festivities and throughout the game with his family. Well, Koa came to Sun Devils season opener not just for fun but for a solid reason. The five-star local basketball prospect will be graduating next year, so he has set official visit dates with Arizona State, Arkansas, Duke, Baylor, and Arizona. As the list features multiple Big 12 names, the two programs most brought up with Pete's landing spot are Duke and Arizona. Still, Arizona State was the first to offer Pete a scholarship back in 8th grade. The 6'8" senior has an amazing high school basketball journey. He won state champions in each of his 3 seasons and has 3 gold medals playing for Team USA junior national teams. And what is worth mentioning is that Koa's older brother, Keona, is a walk-on offensive lineman with the Sun Devils and had a 1-yard carry on ASU final drive last Saturday. The redshirt freshman was also a local prospect out of Tempe Corona del Sol High School. He was named to the first team All-6A Central region in his last season with the Aztecs. Well, that's not the whole story. Both Koa and Keona are the younger brothers of a standout NFL left guard, Andres Pete, who was selected in the first round of the 2015 NFL Draft by the New Orleans Saints. Now he's playing for the Las Vegas Raiders. What a fabulous family, right? Stella Tai reporting for the Varsity Sports Show.
All right, we're back. We're going to head out to Las Vegas for a live summary with Nicholas Anderson. Hey, Nick, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing good, Jace. How you doing?
Really good, really good. What do you got for us?
Tonight I had the pleasure in broadcasting a fantastic game here in Las Vegas featuring the Lincoln Hornets, a team from San Diego, facing off against the home team, the Coronado Cougars. And in this game, it was two teams that in both of the games previously had scored over 40-plus points against their opponents. And tonight that followed as the Lincoln Hornets poured 51 points against the home team, who only scored 14 points. This game was based around turnovers the entire game. The Hornets started right off the gate with special teams. 10 seconds into the game, a scoop and score on the kickoff return, and then eventually down the road ended up picking off the quarterback 4 times during the game. And you got to give credit to the line of the Hornets applying pressure the entire night to Coronado's quarterback, Aiden Cross, who had to scramble out of the pocket, it seemed like every single play. But this team was coached by a fantastic coach in David Dunn. This team jumped right out the gate. They came in here in a non-conference game wanting to get their second win of the season, and now the Hornets moved to 2-1 on the season.
Perfect, Nick. Anything else you want to take away from the game?
Yeah, another takeaway is the amount of penalties that were drawn for both teams. It seemed like penalties were a big factor in this game, affecting both teams in a negative way, but it was about who was going to take advantage of those penalties and score the points, and the Hornets did just that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nicholas.
My pleasure, Jace. Have a great show.
Thank you. That was Nicholas Anderson for the Las Vegas Summary Live. We'll go into another quick commercial and come back with a few interviews.
Olivia Prickett with Varsity Sports with a season preview on high school flag football in Arizona. From traditional powder puff matches to recognizing girls flag football as a high school sport in 2013, Arizona possesses more than 100 flag football teams throughout the state. 3 teams to keep an eye on this season are the Xavier Prep Gators, the Mountain View Toros, and the Castile Colts. Starting with the Xavier Prep Gators, who had a young roster last season, went 8-4 and finished 2nd in 6A East Valley and 7th in 6A rankings overall. Although their run to win the state championship was cut short when they lost just short of 1 point to Red Mountain, the squad is going to come back eager to finish where they left off and continue their success throughout the season. The Gators play the Hamilton Huskies on September 17th at 7 p.m. at home. The Mountain View Toros had a successful season last year, ranking 2nd in 6A Fiesta and 9th in 6A overall. With an overall record of 9-3, the Toros were led to compete in the state championship, where they held their own throughout and won the title on home ground against Mountain Ridge. Coming off of a championship win will fuel the Toros and motivate them to make it far again this season, starting with their first away game against the Eastmark Firebirds at 6 p.m. on September 17th. Lastly, the Castile Colts didn't exactly get the outcome they were hoping for, going 2-10 overall and ranking 18th in 6A. As the 2024 season is set to start in less than a month, the Colts have their eyes set on a successful run, looking to beat big competitors in their league, the Chandler Wolves and the Hamilton Huskies. It all starts with their first home game match of the season against the Gilbert Tigers on September 17th at 6 p.m. With competition right around the corner, each team still has plenty of time to prepare for what the 2024 season brings. With Varsity Sports, I'm Olivia Prickett.
Speaking of Mountain View, they took on Horizon tonight in football, and we do have some post-game interviews for you guys. Coach Tyson Ditmore and number 0 defensive tackle Jackson Murray.
This is Chris Rosavias with the Varsity Sports Show, and I'm here with number 0, Jackson Murray, who had a pretty big game. A lot of different fronts that we saw from you guys defensively. Kind of describe that preparation for me.
Coach Anderson, he's great. You know, he always has a good game plan for us. We're just kind of confuse him, put me in a good place to stop the ball, stop the run.
And I can kind of notice throughout the second half that your jersey is a little bit darker than everybody else's. I mean, you've kind of came in on some red zone blocking packages. Kind of walk me through that.
I was supposedly started. I was going to play O-line, and then they decided to put me more at like a fullback, halfback. It's been working great on the red zone, and Coach Vaughn, he's great with that.
And then I saw defensively too, you guys kind of switched from a 3 front to a 4 front, and then you kind of did a little stunt where you'd move to the kind of the B gap on the offensive line. Kind of describe how you can become so versatile like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been playing for so long. I've been playing for 3 years. I played every position on the field so far. So, Coach Anderson knows I can play anywhere, and they just put me in the right place to stop the run.
You guys are 2-0 so far, 2 dominant victories. What do you think you guys can do better defensively?
Defensively, we just got to stay focused. Sometimes, they get the ball over the top on us. Physicality is always a must. So I just think mentally strong. That's all we need to do.
Perfect. Thank you, Jackson. This is Chris Rosavias with the Varsity Sports Show.
That was Jackson Murray, defensive tackle for Horizon. Just listening to him a little bit, he said he's played every single position on the field. I really love that about a player, being super versatile on the field, playing every single position. It's awesome to have. We also have a coach interview from Horizon. It is Tyson Ditmore.
This is Chris Rosavias with the Varsity Sports Show. I'm here with the winning head coach, Tyson Ditmore. Coach, kind of describe me your performance through all levels here tonight.
Well, I think special teams really set the tone. Blocking some kicks and returning a kick for a touchdown is big for us. But defensively, man, hats off to those guys. They prepared all week. They were ready to go and just took care of business. And offensively, I think second half we did a better job, but we still got some things to take care of.
Kind of leading into my next question, Mountain View's offense was kind of something different that I have never seen before, and I've watched quite a bit of football. A lot of shifts up front, but your defense really held their composure and discipline, not really giving up anything to all that pre-motion nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Anderson does a great job with those guys, getting them prepared, and hats off to the boys. I mean, they're the ones who are out there playing, and they practiced and prepped all week, so they did an awesome job.
Offensively, how do you describe your performance tonight?
I would say mediocre offensively. You know, we got to be able to run the football. If we can't run the football, it doesn't make our offense explosive like we need it to be, and we'll take care of business. I know Coach Vaughn will do a good job of getting those guys coached up and change a few things up. So.
And then lastly for you, so I just talked to your number 0, Jackson Murray. Kind of different from last week. You had him on a couple blocking packages in the red zone. Kind of walk me through his versatility.
Well, I mean, you know, you got a Division I athlete like that. You got to get him on the field as much as he can, and he's really excelled at that tight end position and gives us another big body to be able to block. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Coach. This is Chris Rizzavios with the Varsity Sports Show.
That was Horizon head coach Tyson Ditmore. They won in a rout, 52-0. And funny to say, he said his offense did mediocre tonight, scoring 52 points. Safe to say he expects a lot from his offense. We're going to go to a quick commercial. I'll come back, highlight the NFL game that happened tonight in Brazil, and then a couple of the college games that happened tonight, and we'll see if Ian and Mason come up. Okay, sounds like
This is Saleh Awad from Arizona State University. This is Saleh Awad from
Pickett here at Varsity Sports, reporting to you on K. Phillips, High Top
Varsity Sports Show. I'm Quentin Presley from Arizona State University, and today I have some Arizona Cardinal players that will make for some great point production in any fantasy football league. If you want to rep the Valley and still stay competitive, these are the players to look out for. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the most promising player on this list, we have 4th overall pick Marvin Harrison Jr. The Cardinals' new wide receiver 1 is going to be a very interesting player, especially in fantasy, where he's ranked 11th out of all receivers. If you have a chance to pick him up via trade, it might be worth it. Second, I have third-year tight end Trey McBride. Since there are not a ton of great options at tight end, McBride carries a lot of value, especially coming off of his 8 hot game stretch last year where he got 5 end zone looks and caught 4 of them for tutties. With Kyler Murray expecting to have a comeback year, number 85 in red will be a great option. Lastly, and at best value, I believe wholeheartedly that Kyler Murray is going to be a monster this upcoming season. Already, he's a 7th-ranked QB in fantasy, and he's coming off of an injury-riddled year. His running ability, mixed with his offensive weapons at his arsenal, make him a great general to slot in at your quarterback. That's it for this time. For those of you who are running fantasy football teams, make sure to set those lineups and stay hungry on the waiver wire. For Varsity Sports, I'm Quentin Presley. I'll catch you next time.
All right, we're back with Varsity Live, and right now we're going to bring on Ian Monge for the Mountain View postgame summary. Hey, Ian, how you doing?
Hey, are you able to hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, so this is the first time that I'm using this mic, so it's a little bit different. I'm having a great night. You know, this was a very entertaining football game over here that got crazy from the jump. We had, I believe it was a pick 6 by Saguaro that kicked off things here in this game. And then from that point on, we had 70 combined points in the first half alone. And that alone just brought out a lot of excitement from us and a lot of the hometown fans here at Mountain View.
That's awesome, man. What were your takeaways from the game? What did you see out there?
Yeah, I mean, Beckham Barney, the linebacker for Mountain View, was a complete monster on the defensive end, was really getting in on some tackles for losses. I can't remember if it was him, but it was mainly more so like that defense for Mountain View where they were wrecking havoc. They were going ahead and forcing fumbles, getting interceptions. And on the offensive end, they were bombing it down the field, and they were converting on a lot of those streaks down the field. So everything was really clicking for Mountain View's sake.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ian. Have a great night.
I appreciate you. You have a great night as well.
Thank you. That was Ian Monge reporting for Mountain View. And next we'll bring on Mason Byers, who is at Horizon. What's up, Mason? How you doing?
Good, Jace. How are you?
Really good, really good. So what happened out there tonight?
Horizon, man, they're a team to look out for in the 5A. I mean, Coach Ditmore, it's his first time head coaching the team. He was part of the team for their 2021 state championship run, and he looks like he's put it all together. I know Chris interviewed him after the game, and he said his offensive mediocre. I mean, but all three cylinders were clicking, man. Like on the special teams, they got 2 blocked punts, they got a kickoff return touchdown. I mean, defensively, they didn't let up. And then offensively, quarterback Jace Ashley had 2 touchdowns on the ground. And star running back Bodie Zamorano also matched that. I mean, they played phenomenal.
Yeah, Coach Ditmore said that his offense has to be able to run the ball. What was up with that? Like,
there was a couple times that their drives stalled out. They tried to get the ball going in the first half, definitely. Bodie Zamorano, him and Ashley kind of picked it up, I'd say, towards the second half. The defense and special teams definitely did a big part in carrying that first half load. But, I mean, 52-0, that's what they beat the Mountain View Marana team last year. So it's kind of weird how they kind of replicated that score. But this team is crazy. I mean, if he thinks that's mediocre and there's more room to grow, that the sky's the limit.
Yeah, it could be a dangerous team for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Murray, too, he was our player of the game. I mean, he was playing offense, defense, special teams. I mean, he was pretty much doing everything for them, too.
Yeah, he said that he has played almost every single position on defense. Did he do that tonight, or was he mainly just on the defensive line?
He was mainly on that defensive line, and then offensively, they said they ran him as a tight end, but he was more of just like kind of another tackle for them. He was just kind of clearing the way for Bodie Zamorano. He's a Colorado State commit, and I said multiple times, like, there's a reason why he's going to be playing on Saturdays next year.
Yeah, he's a really good player. Thank you so much, Mason.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. Have a great night.
You too.
All right. And now we're going to go to a post-game interview from the head coach, Puny Ellis, the Buckeyes.
I'm Nicholas Anderson reporting live here with the Varsity Sports Show. I have Lincoln Hornets player of the game, Aiden Jackson. You had 2 touchdowns by yourself. How'd you get it done tonight?
First and foremost, I want to thank God for allowing me to come out here and perform to the best of my abilities. But overall, we started off slow, but then my line and myself, we kind of picked it up. My quarterback, KJ Smith, we started making the right calls, the right adjustments, and from then we were able to play smoother, play our type of football.
Talk about that offensive line. It seems they were able to hold for you the entire night. What do you got to say about them, and just throughout the season, have they performed?
No, yeah, those are my guys for sure. We be on each other during practice, but it makes us better. We have a great connection, and like I said, those are my guys for sure. Every day, every week, every Friday, we go in. I give them 100, they give me 100, so we got a good connection for sure.
You guys got a tough game coming up against J. Sarah Catholic. What's the preparation looking like against them, and how are you going to go out and get a dub against them?
Pushing ourselves in practice. For us, everything starts in practice. It starts with just overall pushing ourselves, and then that way we know what we got going into the game. We know how what we're looking like, how our performance is going to be. So just for sure, a good week of preparation, a lot of film, a lot of practice.
Absolutely. Great game for you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
This is the player of the game right here, Aiden Jackson for the Lincoln Hornets out of San Diego. I'm Nicholas Anderson reporting for the Varsity Sports Show.
That was Nick Anderson out in Las Vegas. We're going to roll right into a commercial, and then we'll have Layla on.
I'm Julia Coyne with the Varsity Sports Show. Arizona State started out strong in their first Big 12 game against Wyoming last Saturday to beat the Cowboys 48-7. Within the first minute of the game, the Sun Devils defense picked off the ball and ran in for their first touchdown. Throughout the game, the Sun Devils dominated offensively and defensively. Arizona State's new transfer quarterback from Michigan State, Sam Leavitt, had an impressive first game with the Sun Devils. He threw 2 touchdowns with a total of 288 passing yards. Leavitt threw a 68-yard pass in the third quarter to put the Sun Devils up 48-0. They had a total of 499 yards, whereas the Cowboys were held to 118 yards the entire game. Cameron Scataboo was back with 11 carries in the game to have the most rushing yards. Kyson Brown had a total of 73 receiving yards on 2 catches. Wyoming was able to score 1 touchdown in the fourth quarter to make the score 48-7. In the final drive of the game, Dillingham put walk-on Kiana Pete in the game to carry 1 yard while his basketball star brother, Koa Pete, was on his official visit for Sun Devil basketball. The Sun Devils had an extremely impressive performance and will play at home next week against Mississippi State. Mississippi State defeated Eastern Kentucky 56-7 in their game last week. It's going to be an exciting year for the Sun Devils. With Varsity Sports, I'm Julia Coyne.
All right, we're back with the post-game show. Now we're going to bring on Layla Ruderman for Brophy and Regis Jesuit.
Thank you, Jace. So tonight was a huge win for Brophy, 44-0 over Regis Jesuit. So a defensive shutout completely for them. But I would just like to say the score is a little bit misleading, actually. I'll get into that in a little bit. But this was week 2 of 6A football. Brophy was coming off a win against Williamsfield last week. Regis Jesuit was actually coming off a loss to the Lower Christian last week. And keep in mind, these two teams have never played each other. So they don't have any film against each other to go off of. And it's week 1. So they really have last week's film to go off of. And that was really it. And you could kind of tell in the first quarter, it felt like they were just trying to get a feel on each other. Brophy had the ball first. They went down, almost scored, and then they fumbled. Regis Jesuit was able to recover, only to fumble on their own drive. So that was 2 turnovers literally within like the first 7 minutes of the game. However, Brophy was able to capitalize on that and score with Carlos Estrada running it in and taking the first touchdown, getting on the board. However, that was really it for the action in the first half. The second quarter was a complete shutout for both teams, which again is surprising considering the score was 44-0. Regis Jesuit had a fumble. Brophy almost had a touchdown. It was called back, and that was really about it for the second quarter. I would like to highlight, though, this was a messy game. This was not a game of good, clean football. Regis Jesuit had 12 penalties tonight. Brophy had 5, and it's really hard to play a good game of football when you're your own worst enemy. Every time they would march down the field, it doesn't matter how many yards you're getting if you're constantly bringing yourself back. And that just seemed to be a common theme for Regis Jesuit tonight. So that was kind of unfortunate to watch. They also are from Colorado. I don't know if I mentioned that. So they're not used to this heat as well. They traveled all the way here. I talked to head coach Jason Jewell of Brophy, and he did mention that. He said, hey, I appreciate them coming out and playing in this heat. It's not for everyone. And I mean, if you're a native, you get it. But if you're not from here, it can definitely catch you off guard. But heading into halftime, the score was 7-0. And I mean, we expected some changes. Usually there's a lot of differences whenever you come out of halftime, but Regis Jesuit had the ball. And again, they just weren't able to score on their first drive. But Brophy, on the other hand, came out electric. So they had 37 points in the second half. Dalen Sharpner, Devin Fitzgerald, Case Vandenbosch had 3 touchdowns. The backup quarterback tonight, Rylan Humphrey, their starting quarterback, didn't really have quite a game that we were expecting. Him and Devin Fitzgerald had a lot of chemistry last week. We didn't really see that tonight from them. He kind of had an off game. He had a couple of fumbles that ended up going out of bounds, so it didn't really hurt this team. But again, it was just kind of a blow for that offense in the first half. But no, once they put Case Vandenbosch in, 3 touchdowns, I mean, that's huge. He seems to really be finding his rhythm with this offense, and it was cool to see that. I mean, whenever he also has targets like Dalen Sharpner and Devin Fitzgerald, that made it for him too easy. And then he also has a brother, Bastian Vandenbosch, who I wanted to highlight. These are 2 twin brothers who are seniors on this team. Bastian had 3 sacks, recovered a fumble, and had a forced fumble. So, I mean, you know their parents just have to be beaming in the stands knowing that both your sons had a great game tonight. So, overall, that 44-0 score was deserved for Brophy, but I definitely would say that it comes as a surprise considering the first half. I talked to head coach of Brophy, Jason Jewell, after the game, and I asked him, I just said, hey, what was that like? I mean, you guys literally came out a new offense during halftime, and he said, we just had to finish and settle down. And I think once they got that through their heads, they were able to do just that. And they did play completely differently. And that's kind of just been a theme with this team, unfinished business. We've heard that from them, knowing last year they were the number 1 seed in 6A and they didn't make it. They didn't win that championship. So they have that chip on their shoulder of unfinished business. And I think you could really tell tonight, even if it took the first half to kind of get their nerves out, figure out the rhythm, they definitely were doing something right coming out 44-0. They face Centennial next week on the road. That will be another Arizona powerhouse. We know that they were in the open last year, losing to Liberty. But I mean, that's not going to be an easy game for them. And Regis Jesuit did head back to Colorado tonight, where they will be facing Cherry Creek next week. So a big game for Friday Night Lights and very exciting, even though it may not have seemed like that. These teams were neck and neck up until about the third quarter of the game.
So with Ryland getting pulled with a couple of turnovers, do you think he'll be the starter next week? Or you think they're going to roll with Case?
I'm glad you brought that up. I would not be surprised if we see Case as the starter next week. And it's not that Ryland even looked bad out there. He just wasn't, I felt like, really connecting. They did have a big run game. And he did have, I do want to say, he had a 70-yard run. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. He did have an explosive run early in the third quarter. But other than that, I wasn't too impressed. I don't think he had any big throws for the night. And I mean, I know last week he had a lot of passing yards. Didn't really see that. So I actually am going to be very interested to see who comes out on the field tonight or next week as the starting quarterback.
Yeah, that'll be super interesting to see.
Yeah, so overall, a great game. Brophy is now 2-0, and they're sticking with that unfinished business name.
All right, Layla, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right, we're going to go to commercial real quick, and we'll be back real fast.
I'm Julia Coyne with the Varsity Sports Show. Arizona State started out strong in their first Big 12 game against Wyoming last Saturday to beat the Cowboys 48-7. Within the first minute of the game, the Sun Devils defense picked off the ball and ran in for their first touchdown. Throughout the game, the Sun Devils dominated offensively and defensively. Arizona State's new transfer quarterback from Michigan State, Sam Levitt, had an impressive first game with the Sun Devils. He threw 2 touchdowns with a total of 288 passing yards. Levitt threw a 68-yard pass in the third quarter to put the Sun Devils up 48-0. They had a total of 499 yards, whereas the Cowboys were held to 118 yards the entire game. Cameron Scoutavoo was back with 11 carries in the game to have the most rushing yards. Kyson Brown had a total of 73 receiving yards on 2 catches. Wyoming was able to score 1 touchdown in the fourth quarter to make the score 48-7. In the final drive of the game, Dillingham put walk-on Kiana Pete in the game to carry 1 yard while his basketball star brother, Koa Pete, was on his official visit for Sun Devil basketball. The Sun Devils had an extremely impressive performance and will play at home next week against Mississippi State. Mississippi State defeated Eastern Kentucky 56-7 in their game last week. It's going to be an exciting year for the Sun Devils. With Varsity Sports, I'm Julia Coyne.
All right, we're back. Before we go, I just want to highlight a segment done by one of the colleagues here at Varsity Live. Roman Martinez did his segment on Texas transfer QB and current starting quarterback of Duke University. They played Northwestern tonight. Malik threw for 220 yards and 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, and they walked away with the win in double overtime, 26-20 over Northwestern. And that'll do it for us tonight here at Varsity Live. Thank you for everybody that watched, and we'll see you next time.